Hello and welcome. I'm Bill and this is Intro to C. In the previous episode I talked about the process of making a computer program, and in there I talked about that you need to find out what the problem is, how you're going to solve this problem, and if you need to make a computer program then you need to write the code, then you need to compile that code, run it, did it work expected? If not, you need to debug it and then start repeating that process until it works as expected, and once it's worked expected you need to maintain it. Now, if you haven't watched it, go watch it. It'll be quite useful, and you'll learn what we're going to do today. Because today we're going to download our compiler, our text editor, and the debugger, which actually is what we call is technically a technical term because it's all bundled together. This is our IDE, our Integrated Development Environment. So we're going to go download that, and the one we're using on Windows, because I'm expecting 90% of you, at least 90%, have Windows installed, so you can all follow along at home. If you haven't, you'll have to learn how to do it get another IDE, or in fact you can just get a separate text editor and a separate compiler. If you're on Linux, I expect you know how to use the command line already. If you're on Mac, I doubt you do. You might do, but yes, just go search for that, how to do it on your operating system. But on Windows I'm going to show you how to do it. So go onto your search engine of choice. You can use Google, DuckDuckGo, Yahoo, I don't really care. So, and the first thing you need to do is just type in Visual Studio 2015 is what you're going to type in. And if I should type in Visual Studio for now, and I'll show you how to do it. So you go on to visualstudio.com. They've got their own website nowadays. And I'm going to make this big. And what you want to do is download the Community Edition. Now, there's many of the things they'll be trying to push. Like they'll be asking, they want you to get the editor. Don't get that. That is only a text editor, and I don't think it's actually very good. In fact, it's a bit confusing. And yes, it says but apps. I just cloud to but is what my translation is. Yes. So you've got one powerful ID. So what you want is this one. So you download the Community Edition and you click on it and it says it's downloading for you. Ah, wonderful. So I want to download it into the downloads folder and it's done. Now the Community Edition is virtually identical to the Professional Edition, but it's meant for small teams and individuals. And I'm guessing if you're following along and learning at home, you're an individual or again a small team. There are other versions of Visual Studio, so I'll warn you there. There is Visual Studio Enterprise. This is for if you work in a team with dozens or hundreds of people. That's what you need to get, because you need to get the license. And there's other team services like the Foundation stuff. You don't want any of that. There is Visual Studio Code. I think it's a dreadful text editor, but that's my opinion. And it's only built for like web programming and stuff. But yeah, we want the Visual Studio Community Edition. So we've downloaded that. And again, it says free for student, open source contributors and small teams, it says down the bottom. So, good. So we're a small team or an individual. There we go, done that. So when you click on and install it, it'll download. It's just a little application, but it's a downloader, so it'll download on your computer. Now when I click on it, it'll take a while. It does take a while, don't worry. You'll now need to download and install it. And oh god, it really is taking a long while. But when you're downloading and install it, it'll be about 10 gigabytes. It's now telling me that I already have this installed. So you'll have it installed. And if I click modify, these are the things what you'll need to do. So as you'll see here, you'll have probably different things in here. You'll have the Visual Studio 2015 update, or you'll have different programming you need to install, the different tools and all that lot. There's a lot of things in here. So to make it, don't worry about all this. You can probably leave it at the default, but you want to make sure that Visual C++ is clicked. So that's been installed. And you make sure there's some other things as well. Just make sure that common tools are clicked as well. They're pretty useful as well. So once that is done, click install. This will take a while to download because it's about 10 gigabytes. I have no idea why it's that big, but I think it's because they have so many applications in there. Many stuff you don't want, but it has there. But it's 10 gigabytes, so make sure you've got enough room on your computer. And you're going to have to wait a while, depending on if that's your internet connection. It could be an hour, it could be all day. So please don't, if you are downloading and it costs you money to download the internet, please ask the bill payer's permission first, because it takes a lot of space and time. So once you've got that installed, yes, I do want to cancel the setup. I'm going to open up Visual Studio. I'll have it installed. So I already have mine on my taskbar. Or if you go into your start menu, you can type in Visual Studio. If it pops up. Yes, Visual Studio 2015. Yeah, there we go. So I can just click it on here as well. So it's just found as well. So now it opens up and it will look something like this. Yeah? And it's already got one of my solutions in here as well, just one of my test applications. So I'm just going to, it may look something like this, it may not. Now, what I want to do is pretty much reset everything. So reset window layout, yes please. And then the other, so there we go. So now what I'm going to do is create a new project. This is just to see if everything working as expected. So we can click new project, and then what? Just don't worry, I'm just going to click empty project, and then I'm just going to yeah, whatever. Okay. I just want to see if it even sets up. We're not going to learn how to actually create a program. Yeah, I have this problem. It's not a problem. For some reason it just says that. So by default, you may also have this thing on the right, on the left, sorry. You'll have something called the Solution Explorer. So to get it, the Solution Explorer is something that what they call as like their project manager, project file manager. For some reason, at one point in the line, they called it a solution. I have no idea why. It doesn't solve anything. It just is called a solution. I don't know. It's your project, whatever it is, and it says here it's your project. Technically, solutions handle multiple projects as well. They can do, but yeah, I know it's confusing. They could have called it like a super project or something. I don't know. But in here, you can see all the toolbars you can get, and stuff like so. You got the Solution Explorer, Team Explorer. You don't need that because you're not working on a team. You've got your error list, which pops up here. I'm going to just open that as well. You got your output window, which may be there. If you want to move these around, you can click and drag them to move them, and then you can pop them down like that. So here's all my in the error window here. Don't want it there, or I could have it up there. You can just click and drag. So there's many other steps. Like for instance, there could many other things here. Like there's more toolbars that you could have. There could be a build toolbar. I don't really want that. But there's, I mean, you can just look through here, and there's loads of toolbars. So there's ones for debugging. There's just, I can get rid of the debugging toolbar for now. You just mess around and stuff. There's even one just for the text editor, which is where this blank spot will be in here. So toolbars, text editor, what tools are in there? Nothing that we actually need, just bookmarks and stuff. So now you've got your editor. This is your IDE. Now on here it will show, this is where all the files will be shown. This is where all the output and the error handling and all the stuff in here. This is how you compile at the top. And in the middle, you've got your text editor. Now there's nothing there because you need to create a file or even open a file. So what I'm going to do is in this project, you may be brought up into a different screen. It may look different to you. So what I'm going to do is click File, Add, and then I'm going to do Add a New Item. Yeah? And then it's going to ask me for C code or whatever. So I'm just going to change this, and I'm going to call this test.c. So that's what the name is, and this is where it's going to be located. So add, and it will add test.c. You may not see this view. You may see a view with loads of different folders in it. Just trying to think which way to do it now. I usually just, that's not what I wanted. No, that's not what I wanted either. But anyway, you may see like source folders or anything like that. And to get off that, I just click Show All Files. So there we go. So you may see this. This is what you may see by default. So in here we've got external dependencies. You've got header files, resource files, source files, and it can be a bit overwhelming. So by default, it's put all your source files, like your .c files. Don't worry, I'll explain those later, and you put them in there. I personally don't like this, but I personally like having my own folders and let me manage it myself. But because you're a beginner now, I'm just going to leave it as the default thing. It says references. I have no idea. That's new. I mean, I hardly ever touch Visual Studio for all this stuff. So yeah. And then double click on the file, and look, it now pops up in the middle. You can see there's a little tab, and you can see all this. There's a number, and there's a blinking thing, all this magical stuff. So this is the text editor part of Visual Studio. Because remember, Visual Studio is an integrated development environment, or an IDE to its friends. Now, text.c has all this magical stuff. So I could just start typing things on the keyboard. So enter, 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 and hey presto, you've got some code. And as you may have noticed, one, this is quite small if you're reading on a thing. And also, it just looks like a typewriter in a sense. And the main reason for that is this is using something called a monospaced font. And monospaced, like a typewriter, is all the characters that you've typed in are all the same width. Modern fonts nowadays that are monospaced try their best to make them look like they're not, but they actually are. And monospaced fonts are just because it's easier to write. So typewriters didn't worry about the size of the font, so they just incremented the same amount every time. Because in non-monospaced fonts, you've got something called kerning, which is the spacing between letters, and it's quite complicated. So they kept it simple. And also, the other reason, it's the same process why we use on text. Because everything is monospaced, all of the columns of our text, like each character, the column of the characters is on each the same row. So the first thing I'm going to do is make this text bigger. So I'm going to go into Tools, and then what I'm going to do is go into Customize. Not Customize, Tools and Options, sorry. Tools and Options. It's the one below it, as I always get confused. And for you, this may not be a dark theme. By default, yours might be a light theme. So if I click light, it will take a while because Visual Studio is slow. It might be a light theme for you by default. So this means it's black on white. Before I had white on black, or white on this really dark grey. So for some people, this is easier to read. I prefer looking at white on dark text. Because for me, I'm looking at a computer monitor all day. And actually, it's like looking at a literal light bulb. So I want to reduce that and just look at the code and just reduce my eye strain. To be honest with you, some people say it's actually easy. It is easier to read black on white because it's like reading text on a book. But then some people think it's less strain on your eyes. So I'm going to go for the dark theme because I do very much like the dark theme. There's a blue theme which is still light, but it's just blue everywhere. And for me, this is much nicer on my eyes. So I'm going to go back to the customization. So customize, not customize. Oh, the stupid names, options. Why would you? This is why I don't understand Microsoft. Why do they call them stupid names? And when they go to the environment, I'm rambling now. What you want to do is go into fonts and colors. And by default, it's probably not Droid Sans Mono. What you've got, the default font for you is probably Consolas. And then I would want to do is change the size of it to something so it's readable. I would say if you're at home, probably about 11 or 12. But I'm programming on a screen, so I'm going to do 18. So it's much, much bigger. Probably maybe 20 actually is what I'm going to do. So you can much easily read that now. So now you can see it. So I'm going to delete all this text by clicking and dragging to highlight it, and then clicking backspace to delete it all. So I'm just going to type a proper sentence. So hello world. Hello world. That's usually a nice thing to do. Hello world. Hello Dr. Nick. I don't know. Hello everybody. Hello Dr. Nick. Oh god, that's sorry. You probably understand that reference. But that's what I'm typing. And one of the things you may have noticed is every time I put a new line in, so clicking the return key or the enter key or whatever you want to call it, there's a number next to each of the text. Now this number is called your line number. Now this is very useful because at a glance, when you get errors, it will say there's an error on line number 23. So you can actually just go to line 23, look for it, and it's there. Now some people find this quite distracting and disable it. But I find it distracting because I don't usually use Visual Studio and I can just go straight to a line. But if you want to learn how to disable it, we can go to Tools. We can go into Options, as it is now, and then we can look to find where we can find line numbers. Okay, so they say line numbers, it shows you different colours. But in here, there's loads of different things, and it can be confusing. So what we need to find is the text editor part. So we need to look for it at text editor. There we go. And then we're going to click on text editor, and then we're going to say, it says indicate highlight current line. So you can see there's like a highlight bit as well for a bit to see where you want, which current line you're on. What else is there that's on here? Well, we're going to general, and is there one we can show indicate margin? That's something that literally is a margin on the left, so it makes good. And I'm just looking for the line number bit in here. I know I should have. Yes, here we go. So go to C and C++. That's what you want. And what it says line numbers, let's get rid of it. So hey presto, we've got rid of the line numbers if we wanted to. Some people do like them, some people don't. So to get them back, all you need to do is you go back into here and you go into the text editor part, then to C++, and then enable line numbers. So it does line numbers on either a language basis, or you can do it for all languages. You can go to all languages and then line numbers. Depends on what you're doing. Yeah? So that is how you do it. You can even get rid of the indicate highlight current line bit, so it doesn't have a highlight, it only has your blinking cursor. That's what your thing is, the cursor, where you currently are. And that can move with your arrow keys by going up and down, left and right, or you can use your mouse to click and whatsoever. So I'm going to go put back the highlight line on, because it's quite easy to show which line you're on. So which row I'm on, and then the cursor I use to show which column I'm in. So that's kind of the basics of what a text editor does. And there's loads more it can do. Like for instance, I'm going to start writing some random code. You don't have to worry about this. You don't need to understand what is happening. But as I am going to do this. As you can see, it's getting colourful code. This is C code, some random C code that I've just wrote. And you can see some of the things are going to be different colours. And this is called syntax highlighting. So what syntax highlighting does in many text editors, it will highlight parts of your code to literally give you an indication of what it is. So in Sublime Text, not Sublime Text, on Visual Studio, stuff in blue by default, they'll highlight the types. It'll highlight also constants, numbers. It'll highlight. I could also have. It'll do different colours for strings and stuff. Don't worry if you don't understand any of this terminology. I'll explain this later. But don't be worried about it being colourful. The colours are there for you to be easier to see what it is at a glance, and it can be useful. Some people don't find it useful. Some people only want minimal syntax highlighting, so they'll literally only have colours for keywords. So like they'll have a different colour for this or something. And that's the other thing I need to disable, but that's when I'll get to start the project. So the first thing is Visual Studio likes to do its own styling. So I'll show you how to set up a project later, but one thing is I'm going to disable its automatic stuff. So formatting, I don't want it to do any formatting, automatic formatting. No. I want you to get rid of all the bleeming formatting. I want it all off, because Visual Studio does not do a good job of formatting my code for me. So I'm just going to see if it works. So if true, yes, it's kind of works. Okay, that's more like it. Okay, that's better. It's more expected. So don't worry about any of that. That was C code I was writing. But what I'm going to do is, if you want to save the file what you've written, so I'm going to write that. What you can do is either go to File and then save the current file you're in. So it will actually say save test.c. Or if I make another edit to this, you'll notice there's a little star next to the name in the tab. This means that this has been modified since it's last been saved. Yeah? So the way to save it just as a shortcut, if you go to File, then Save, you can see it says on the right, it says our shortcut, which is Control-S. So I can say Control-S and it'll save it. If you want to save all the files that are open, or all the files in your project, you can click Control-Shift-S and that'll do it. In fact, loads of these things have shortcuts. So you don't need to worry about much of this. If you don't know what the shortcut is, you can go to find it in the tab, like the menu bar here, and it will usually say the shortcut. Some things will not have shortcuts, some things will. A lot of these tools you will not need, like Create GUID, maybe not, or Spy++, or no, I don't want half of these things. Or I don't want a wizard, class wizard, no thank you, we're not talking about that. But yes, there's loads of things in here. So I'll have an experiment, randomly write some text and save stuff. Now, the last thing I'm going to talk about with your text editor, just the text part, the next bit I'm going to talk about setting up a basic environment, how to make a basic program setup, is what you need to do is look for is where is these saved on the actual computer. So if you can right click on it, it can say view, open with, view code and all that lot. Now I want to, you can exclude from a project, include things from a project, you can compile this code, you can do all this lovely stuff. But I want to find where this actually is. Like, where is this thing? You can say view code, it pops up, doesn't help me. So if you right click on the project, you can click open folder in File Explorer. So this will open it into the Explorer window, which I've got on the right here. And as you noticed, it's now in some directory on my computer. So as you can see at the top on here, it says C users, Windows, Documents, Visual Studio 2015 Projects, Project 2. And it's put it in here. So these files here, except minus the test.c, these are my Windows specific, these are my project specific files. These are the projects to build my file. Like this is the solution, this is the actual project within the solution, and then this file here is actually my test.c. So it has a lot of different things in here. So there's many different things you can worry about. In fact, if I created it, I can just create a new folder and I can call this source if I wanted to for the source code, or if I normally write it's src. So I can drag the test file into the source folder and then it's now in there. So I'm going to go into the Solution Explorer, right click on my project, and then I should right click on the solution. Where is it? I'm looking for the refresh button anyway. You may find, here we go, it's up here, isn't it? Flipping heck, this is not useful. Visual Studio, why can't I find the stuff? Unless it's also put it in here. No, yes it is. So I'm just clicked on to show all files, and it will actually say, okay, this file has been missing. I can't find it anymore. It says, oh, you've just moved it. So one thing I want to do is I'm going to click remove, because yes, it does. I'm just going to delete it as well because it doesn't exist. But then there's this file popped up here, and it's got a little like stop sign next to it saying no entry or whatever. And if you right click on it, you'll notice this isn't part of the project. So you need to right click and you click include in project. Now this file is in project. So if I click off show off all files and go back into this directory and then click, oh, source files, it's found the source file, it's in there. Now source file means just literally the source of your code, the source of stuff. Don't worry about that, we'll explain it all later. So now you've got your text file in there. In the next video I'll explain how to get a basic setup and how to actually set up a basic C project and how to compile it. And then that should be the end of this chapter. There's not much to explain yet because I can't, I won't go on to go and use the debugger yet because that's quite advanced and there's loads of other things. But for now, thank you for watching, and as always, have fun and experiment. Like just dive in. I'm going to just randomly do stuff in this text editor, literally just write some stuff out, save it somewhere and do stuff with it. Okay, so thank you for watching and stay tuned for the next episode.